We're at Shea Stadium in New York. It'll be a capacity crowd. The Cubs will be trying to cool off the Mets after beating them yesterday, scoring more runs in one inning, the eighth yesterday, than they had previously in the 3 games they had played here earlier this year. So let's hope for some more 8-run innings.
Well, you talked about 3 sweeps of doubleheaders, Harry, for the Mets, and they've won those games by a total of 7 runs. The Mets are used to playing tough and tight baseball games. Yesterday was an exception, but when they get together with the Cubs, it's usually a well-played game, and this is a doubleheader that the Cubs would love to sweep.
This first game is so important with Trout going for the Cubs and Terrell for the Mets. You win the first game, and then you have thoughts about that sweep.
Well, the Mets are 19 games over 500 against right-handers, but they haven't had that good a success against left-handers. So Steve Trout probably should have an advantage, Harry, and one of the reasons is that he's 6-1 on the road.
Well, another reason, too, is that one of the 2 complete games he's pitched was the first game of the year that he faced the Mets when he beat them, allowing them only 1 run and going the route.
Trout had a tough outing last time out, but he's got a good arm, and he's looking for a good effort today. It's a good day to pitch.
Hello again, everybody. With Steve Stone, I'm Harry Caray. We're both at Shea Stadium for the doubleheader between the Cubs and the Mets. The Mets, who have swept the 3 doubleheaders they played earlier this year, and last year led the National League in winning doubleheaders.
Well, Walt Terrell is going for the Mets today, and he's got an 8-7 record. Walt is not an overpowering pitcher, unlike some of the Met pitchers we've seen. He depends on control, keeping the ball down, and a good hard slider.
All right, we will be back now with the lineups and the play-by-play in a moment. Here are the lineups for the Cubs. Dernier in center. Sandberg at second. Matthews in left. Durham at first. Moreland in right. Davis, the catcher. Shea at third. Boa at short. Trout, the pitcher. For the Mets, Wilson in center. Chapman at second. Hernandez at first. Foster in left. Strawberry in right. Brooks at third. Fitzgerald, the catcher. Santana at short. And Terrell is the pitcher. The umpires are Eric Gregg behind the plate, Marsh, Fremming, and Tata around the bases. First pitch of the ball game is fouled off by Bobby Dernier.
On April 1st, 1982, Frank Cashin made a deal that would shape the young Mets pitching staff. He acquired Walt Terrell and Ron Darling from the Texas Rangers in exchange for Lee Mazzilli. Both youngsters have come through, and you're looking at one of the products of that trade today, Walt Terrell.
The pitch. A high hopper, and it goes foul down the third base line again, and Dernier's in the hole 0-2. Dernier hitting .320 for the year. He's 2 out of 9 in this series. He's had 2 homers, 24 runs batted in, but he's been held to a lowly average by the Mets pitching staff. He's hit only .208 against them. Walt Terrell, stockily built right-hander. He is 1-8, lost 7 with a good earned run average. Fastball a little bit low, just barely missed. And the crowd has started roaring on every 2-strike pitch. The delivery. A high pop foul, weakly hit. Right to the left of home plate. Dernier fouled to Fitzgerald. One out. He was jammed on that.
He threw a good fastball. When you throw a lot of off-speed pitches and a lot of sliders, you have a tendency to get the hitter to lean over the plate. Walt Terrell's fastball is good enough to then jam the hitter. Terrell is 6'2", 205 pounds, and he's got a good changeup. It's really the key to his pitching performance today. If he gets the off-speed pitch over the plate, he's going to be tough.
Here's Ryan Sandberg now, the pitch. There's a strike call. Sandberg has his 51 extra base hits. No Cubs second baseman has had as many since Billy Herman had 59 back in 1939. High pop foul back, and he's in the hole 1 and 2. So Terrell has started off with exceptional control.
Give you an idea what kind of year it's been for the Mets. Last year, they won game number 59 on September 12th. This year, they've won 59 already. So the youngsters have come through for the Mets. Right now, they're paying dividends that Davey Johnson never thought of when he left spring training.
Here's the pitch. Ground ball. That's Chapman at second base, throwing it out. 2 up, 2 down. And here's Gary Matthews, who's had himself quite a series and quite a road trip. In this series, Matthews has been on base 7 times in the first 2 games. He has walked 4 times and had 3 hits. So 8 of the times he's gone to bat, he's been on base 7 of them. Here's the pitch. Swings and he fouls it off. Boy, Terrell looks sharp.
He's got 2 different kinds of fastballs, Harry. He throws one that sinks and he throws one that rides a little bit. That depends on the grip of the ball. You hold it with the seams if you want it to sink and run into right-handers. You hold it across the seams if you want the ball to ride a little bit. Put that along with a good slider and a changeup, and he's got a wide assortment of good moving pitches.
He ducked out of the way of that one. Kelvin Chapman is the only change on the infield. He's playing second base in place of Wally Backman. He being a right-handed hitter against Steve Trout. George Foster back in the lineup in left field for them. The pitch. High, towering fly ball will be caught. Mookie Wilson and Strawberry makes the count. A Statue of Liberty grab. 1, 2, 3. The Cubs are harmless in the first. And they go to the bottom of the first inning, no score. Harry Caray back at Shea Stadium as we go into the bottom of the first inning. Boy, Walt Terrell really coasted through that first.
Looks like Steve Trout's going to have a good one today. There you take a look at the defense for the Cubs. Got Ron Cey at third, Larry Bowa at short, Ryan Sandberg at second, Leon Durham at first, Steve Trout on the mound, Matthews, Dernier, and Moreland make up the outfield, and Jody Davis behind the plate. Trout has had a couple of bad performances in a row. Against San Diego, he only lasted 5 1/3. Against San Francisco, he lasted 4 innings. Was tagged for 6 earned runs and 4 earned runs respectively. So he wants to get on the right track right here today.
Well, Mookie Wilson, who's 0 for 8 in the series, will be leading it off. Cub fans are here from Boom Bay, Wisconsin. Mary Lee Singer. And from Waukegan, Illinois, Mary Kay Cretan. They're watching at Adams Cafe in Breckenridge, Colorado. Here's Mookie Wilson, batting right-handed. Shortened up as if he were going to bunt, took a strike call.
Wilson, a better hitter from the left side where he's hitting .281, but he's got more power from the right side.
That evens the count. A ball and a strike. Debbie Padley from Chicago here with the group. A ball and a strike. Sliced foul into the stands.
An oddity with Mookie Wilson, he's a natural right-hand hitter, and he never switched hit till the year he got called up to the major leagues. He decided to experiment with the left-hand hitting stroke. It worked out so well that he just stayed with it. It gives him an extra step to first base, and with his speed, that adds points on the batting average.
Now the pitch, here it is. just missed outside. That evens the count, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Every pitch that Trout has thrown has been the same speed. 2-2 delivery. Bouncing ball, that ought to be easy. Sandberg flips underhanded for the out. 1 gone. And here's Kelvin Chapman, the second baseman, hitting .325. No homers, 7 RBI.
He's done a great job filling in for Wally Backman against left-handed pitching. Chapman doesn't quite have the arm that Backman has. Their hands are very similar. Chapman might have just a little bit more range, but he's been surprising with the bat. You see no home runs and 7 RBIs, but that average over 300 was a pleasant surprise to manager Dave Johnson.
1 out, nobody on. Here's the pitch on the way. Fastball a little bit low and outside. Bill Robinson coaching at first base. Bobby Valentine at third base. 1 man out. Here's the pitch. Swung on and he bounced it foul. And the count evens at a ball and a strike.
That first pitch to Chapman wasn't a good sign for Steve Trout. It was a fastball that was very close and it was down. Trout depends on the sinker keeping the ball down, and he's got to have that pitch from Eric Gregg today.
Here's the pitch. Good fastball at the belt on the outside corner. The Cubs hoping for a sweep today. The bottom of the heart, they probably wouldn't feel too badly with a split. Now the pitch, here it is. Line, a changeup, foul. And a fan reached over the railing and stabbed the ball with his glove. That's what he brought the glove out here for, and he's accepting the congratulations of his friend. Here's the pitch. A little tap to the shortstop. Bo up, throwing in time. Both balls have been hit very softly against Trout. Here is Keith Hernandez.
Hernandez did not take batting practice before the game today, and he feels just like Bob Horner of the Atlanta Braves. If you've got a good stroke, you don't have to take batting practice every day. Most of your real good hitters will go to the batting cage when they have lost a little bit off that stroke, but Hernandez knows he's in a good groove, and he'd like to keep it there.
There you see the stats on him. Here's the pitch. Fastball inside, spun him away. Boy, if you come within a foot of a player here, if it's a Mets player, boy, you get a real negative reaction. There's a pitch a little bit inside. Ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. 2 out, nobody on. George Foster on deck. Trout making his 20th start of the year. Now the delivery. Ball 3. Isn't that funny? He gets the first 2 men up. Right-handed batters easily. A left-handed hitter, where Trout being a southpaw should have the advantage, comes up, and he misses the plate with his first 3 offerings. The pitch. Slider on the outside corner for a strike.
That shows you great respect for Keith Hernandez. You took a look at his lifetime average against the Cubs, and you can see why the situation dictated a 3-0 slider.
The pitch now swung on and fouled, and he's up to 3-2 now. Which is more correct? He's up to 3-2 or down to 3-2? Here's a pitch. Bouncing ball. That'll be easy. Sandberg to Durham. So the Mets, like the Cubs, are harmless in their first inning. Nothing across at the end of 1. Harry Caray back at Shea Stadium as we go into the top of the second inning with Leon Durham hitting an even 300. Terrell's first pitch, here it is. Fastball a bit low. Arnie Harris, I don't know how he finds time to do all these things. He's so busy with the direction and the production of the game. He also, here's a smash right field base hit. In the first inning, Arnie kept a chart on the 2 pitchers. Terrell made 11 pitches. 8 were strikes and 3 were balls. Trout made 15 pitches. 10 were strikes and 5 were balls. Now Durham has led off the second inning with a base hit, and here's Marlin. Marlin 1 out of 7 in the series, hitting .267 for the year. Only 143 though against the Mets pitching, and Terrell throws him a strike. Oh, to jump out in front this first game. You win that one, then the momentum is all with you. Double play ball, out at second and out at third. Marlin Maydard double play, 6-4-3.
Routine double play ball. Leon Durham does his best to break it up, but he can't really get a piece of Calvin Chapman before he gets the throwaway. Take a look at Chapman one more time, trying to avoid the sliding Durham.
Boy, that'd be crazy to take one shot into the opposite field against a guy like Terrell. Here's Jody Davis. Jody hitting .269 with 14 homers. There's a pitch a little bit low. Breeze wafting ever so gently towards the right field wall. Ball 2, Terrell behind for the first time in the ball game on the any hitter. Fouls it back.
Terrell is working on a 3-game winning streak. During that period, his earned run average has been under 3. The Mets don't generally score him a lot of runs, so he's been a better pitcher than that 8-7 record would indicate.
2 men are out, nobody on base. Jody Davis, the hitter. High pop foul. Going to be out of play on the first base side.
The Mets have a 21-5 record thus far this July. That's the 3rd highest winning percentage in history, behind the 41 Yankees and the 45 Cubs. The Cubs would certainly like to put a monkey wrench into their plans to be among the top 5 percentages in history.
Struck him out. Chased a bad ball high and outside. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, nobody left. We go to the bottom of the first, the bottom of the second rather, no score.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're in Mets country when you tune to 1050 on your AM dial.
Harry Caray and Steve Stone as we go in the bottom of the second inning.
WGN is on.
Arnie Harris keeping this chart on the pitches. In the first inning, Terrell made 11 pitches, 8 strikes and 3 balls. In the second inning, he made 8 pitches, 5 strikes and 3 balls. So we go in the bottom of the second now with George Foster leading it off.
Walt Terrell would like to go a long way into this game. There's been some suspicions around New York that Doug Sisk is experiencing a bad shoulder. If that's the case, one of the strongest right-left bullpen tandems in the league could be in jeopardy. Sisk has had 4 bad outings in a row, and that shoulder is giving him some difficulties. Dave Johnson has gone to the bullpen quickly the first half of this season. He'll have to go a little bit longer with the starters this second half.
Here's George Foster. He had 1 out of 3. The only game he's played in this series, the first game, he drove in a run. As the Mets won the game eventually 2-1. Remember, he got a 2-out single in the first inning off Dick Ruthven. Here's a pitch, fastball, a little bit outside, 4-1.
You've got to be ready to field the ball when George is up. He goes back through the middle with the best hitters in the game.
The delivery. Fastball wide, ball 2. 2 balls, no strikes. Ground ball hits hard, but right at Sandberg. He's got it. Over to first for the out. 4 in a row retired by Trout, all on ground balls, which is a good indication.
The adjustment in the Mets lineup for right-handed and left-handed pitching, as you take a look at Magic Johnson, is that Strawberry hits 5th against left-handers. He flip-flops with Foster. Against right-handers, he hits in the cleanup spot.
One out, nobody on. Here is Strawberry. There's a pitch in there for a strike call. Strawberry, seeing Magic Johnson here, reminds me that Strawberry had to turn down all kinds of offers for basketball. Decided to sign a bonus with the Mets and turn to baseball rather than go to college. He was an outstanding basketball star. One out, nobody on. 22-year-old sensation of the Mets takes outside. 1-2 the count.
Strawberry says he tries to make an adjustment against the left-hand pitcher by keeping that right shoulder in tight.
Just missed with it low. And that evens the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, nobody on. The ball game in the second inning.
Hair is very important to your viewing pleasure.
Your cigars aren't to my broadcasting pleasure. Hey, they almost kicked you out of the hotel. He struck him out swinging. They tell me they almost kicked you out of the hotel but because of your cigar.
No, it was my pipe, Harry. I set off the alarm in my room.
I told you no good would come to your life because of your wicked habits.
Actually, what happened is I raced out of my room, and the maid in the hall says, "Don't worry, nothing's going on. You just probably smoked under that smoke alarm, so move to a different portion of the room." I said I wanted to move to Harry's room.
You sure it was you that raced out of your room? Or was it somebody else? 2 men are out. That's it. I want to compliment you. Never kiss and tell. There's a pitch in there for a strike call. UB Brooks, 10 homers, 40 RBIs, hitting .312, a good hitter. Hey, look where he threw that bat. If he'd have hit the ball that far, he'd have had the inside the park home run. The bat slipped out of his hands. It cleared the Cubs dugout way up into the stand. He wants his bat back, and they're going to make an exchange. The Cub, Bobby Valentine, brings UB Brooks' bat back to him. The bat boy gives Bobby another bat, which he will give to the fan.
I think the bat hit a little girl down there, Harry, but it looks like she's okay, and that's the best part of that incident. She's going to have that shoulder looked after, but I think she'll be okay. She got all the pain and didn't even get the bat.
That might be one for the Guinness Book of Records. Here's the pitch. Foul into the stands to the opposite side. He got a fan first with a bat, now with a ball.
UB Brooks' highest home run total to date has been 5. He's got 10 this year.
Here's the pitch. Just missed with a slider.
I asked him if he did anything different. He said, "No, I did the same things in the offseason, but I'm just more conscious of the inside pitch. I open up a little bit now and watch the changeup here."
There it is, and he was waiting for it. UB Brooks gets the Mets' first hit, a single to center. Yesterday, he got the Mets' first hit off Sutcliffe with 1 out when he singled off Rick Sutcliffe.
2 changeups in the same at-bat, and UB Brooks was waiting for this one. When you're not a dead pull hitter, when you wait a little bit longer on the fastball, then you can hit the changeup. Brooks showed you how to do it. You take it right back up through the middle.
Here's the pitch. And Mike Fitzgerald takes a low. Phil Cavaretta watches our games down in Florida. So here's a reminder to him. On this day, July 29th, 1951, there's a line drive right to Durham. Boy, Fitzgerald really hit a wicked line drive right at Durham for the out. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left. At the end of 2, both teams have, with the little boy shot at nothing. Harry Caray back at Shea Stadium. On this day in Cubs history in 1951, 33 years ago, here's Shea, though. First, a ground ball to Brooks. Throws to first for the out. Shea on the first pitch rolled to Hubie Brooks. Phil Cavaretta, then manager of the Cubs, hit a pinch grand slam homer off Robin Roberts in the 7th inning of the second game of the doubleheader as the Cubs swept the Phillies 5-4 and 8-6 at Wrigley Field.
Frank Cashen, the general manager of the Mets, feels that Keith Hernandez at first base does for the Mets infield what Brooks Robinson at third base did for the Baltimore infield those years when he was a perennial Gold Glove winner down there. Hernandez does it all, and there are many who say that he's the best they've ever seen at that position.
Here's Larry Boa now. He's 1 out of 5 in this series. He's hitting 167 for the year against Mets pitching. So he and Moreland have had trouble. Shea hitting only 190.
Don Zimmer was working with Larry on bunting before the game. Let's see if it pays some dividends.
Here's the pitch. Fastball a bit low. 1 ball, no strikes. Steve Trout, in each of the first 2 innings of this ball game, his ball too low, has made 15 pitches. In the first inning, 10 were strikes and 5 were balls. In the second inning, 9 were strikes and 6 were balls. There's a strike call to Boa. 2 balls and a strike. Terrell made a total of 19 pitches. There's a ground ball to the shortstop. Santana scoops it up. Throws for the out. Cubs doing nothing with Terrell.
It's going to be tough for Ron Gardenhire to get his job back with plays like this from Rafael Santana. He's very smooth at shortstop. He's got a good, strong arm, and he has surprised Dave Johnson with his bat, hitting .273.
Here's Steve Trout. First pitch, he fouls it out of play. Trout has been to bat 41 times, had 6 hits, driven in 2 runs, batting .146. Tried to bunt his way on and missed. Terrell has really breezed through the first 3 innings. Allowed 1 base runner and then retired him in a double play. And 2 the count. There's a looping fly ball to the left field. Foster's there, and he dives and makes the catch very awkwardly. Trout flies to Foster in short left. Watch the replay. He's very awkward now here, but he holds on. 1, 2, 3, nothing across. We go to the bottom of the 3rd, no score. Harry Caray and Steve Stahl were back at Shea Stadium. Boy, a moment ago when Foster trotted in, they gave him a standing ovation on a play like that.
Well, how times have changed for George Foster, Harry. When he was with Cincinnati, Pete Rose said the difference between Foster and I is I go through a uniform every day. He goes through a uniform every month. Now he's diving all over the park. He's got a first-place ball club here, and they look to him for some leadership, so apparently he's providing it.
Here's Rafael Santana. He doubled in their first 2 runs yesterday off Sutcliffe. Takes a strike at the knees. 1 strike to nothing, bottom of the 3rd. That evens the count on a ball and a strike. Steve Trout throwing hard. In the 3rd inning, Terrell made only 8 pitches. There's a little looping line drive, and Durham cannot reach it in foul territory. In the third inning, Terrell made 8 pitches, 6 were strikes, 2 were balls. So in 3 innings, he's made a total of 27 pitches. Trout in the first 2 innings has made 30 pitches. There's a fastball outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Right-hand hitter Rafael Santana, the shortstop. A high hopper. Hey, somebody better cover first. No play. I think if Durham had stayed at first base, Sandberg would have had a play, but he left his position, making it an impossible play.
It's a wise choice by Leon Durham not to throw this ball because Santana has it beaten out clearly. If he throws the ball, Santana might wind up at second base. So the Bull decided to hold on to it. There you take a look at it.
All right, that brings up Walt Terrell. We know he can hit. Remember, he had 2 homers in 1 ball game against the Cubs one day. He bunts. The play will be to first base, and Durham and Trout collided on the play. A sacrifice. 1-4 if you're scoring.
Sometimes the most difficult part is not catching the ball. It's avoiding the first baseman. Look at Trout. He and Durham get tangled up, but he has a presence of mind to make the play, and the sacrifice is accomplished.
Now Mookie Wilson hitting right-handed. What worries you about this fella, he's 0 for 9 in the series, and he's much too good a hitter to be stopped forever. There's a fastball low. Shea playing shallow at third base. Wilson's a good bunter, too. Bouncing ball foul. He got around late on a fastball.
Mookie said he bunted a lot more when he was a full-time right-hand hitter. Now, as a switch hitter, he sees the breaking balls always coming into him. He said he's decided that he doesn't want to bunt quite as much. Take his chances with perhaps hitting a double.
Here's the pitch on the way. Oh, out the pitcher's glove. It's going to be a tough play for Boa. Throws him out. Trout deflected the ball just enough to enable Larry Boa to pick it up and throw the batter out.
Trout does a little defensive work, stopping this ball from going through the middle, and then Larry comes over, making a good play with a quick throw to first.
There's where batting right-handed hurt Mookie Wilson.
On the play,
one step was the difference.
Santana moves over to third base, and Trout retires a tough right-hand hitter.
Here's Kelvin Chapman, bounced out his first time. Fastball a little bit outside. Chapman, right-hand hitter, being platooned with Wally Backman. Ball 2 is outside. Keith Hernandez next.
Leading off at third base, it's not important to get a big lead, but what is important is having your momentum going forward as the pitch is delivered. On a short pass ball, you can score that way. Santana's doing it very well at third.
There's a strike at the knee. 2 balls and a strike. They bunch Chapman towards center field. Steve Trout ready. Ball 3. 3 balls and a strike.
Knowing that Hernandez is on deck, Chapman has got to figure he's going to get a fastball, preferably away. If he's looking outside, he could do something with it.
Now the pitch. Ground ball right to say we ought to be out of the inning. There's the peg to retire this side. Chapman bound sharply to say. No runs, 1 hit. No errors, and 1 left. Milo will be joining Steve here in a moment. This is Harry Caray at Shea Stadium. At the end of 3, there is no score.
To the 4th in the first game of this doubleheader at New York. Well-pitched game on both sides, Tony.
Both pitchers have good stuff. The Mets have done it all year, Milo, in 60 games. They have a 279 earned run average, and they're doing it again today.
And Trout looks as though maybe he's got the best stuff he's had in the last 2 or 3 starts. He pitched a great game against this club earlier in the year. And the first pitch to the leadoff batter, Dernier, ball 1, and we are underway in the 4th. Ball's behind him, 2-0. Mets have 2 hits, the Cubs have 1. Nobody's made an error. Pitch on the way is going to make it ball 3.
Birthday greetings to Lisa Stern today. She turned 17.
And never saw the Cubs lose.
Hopefully she'll view 2 wins today.
Well, she got a chance to see some baseball today. That's a ball, and your little speed merchant is on. Dernier with a pass. First one issued by Terrell to go with 1 strikeout.
If you're not a strikeout pitcher, it's pretty tough to overcome leadoff walks. They score about 60% of the time. You might be able to put about 10 percentage points on that when Bob Dernier is the man who draws that leadoff walk.
Sandberg, the batter, he bounced to second the first time up. Into this 3rd game, we're even at a game apiece. Breaking pitch in, and it is 0-1 to Rhino. Came in with a 6-game hitting streak. Matthews due up next.
Fitzgerald has not thrown the ball well in this series. You're liable to see Jim Fry starting Bob Dernier in motion. A hit and run at the very least.
Not going this time. There's a fly ball out into right center, but it'll be easy for Mookie Wilson. Comes across, makes the play. What kind of a motion does Terrell have as far as with a man on?
He's got a pretty good motion to first base, but he also gets rid of the ball quickly. He does give Fitzgerald a chance to throw the base runner out. He shortens up that leg motion a little bit, and more pitchers are becoming conscious of that, Milo. They have one motion with nobody on the base, but then when they take a stretch, they keep a low leg kick. It gives the catcher an opportunity.
Matthews batting with a 9-game hitting streak. 3 for 5 in the series. Ball 1. And in this road trip, the Sarge getting on base a lot again. Cubs took 2 out of 3 at Philadelphia. They split the first 2 here. Dernier edging a little, not going. And it's ball 2. Durham will be next. In the second game, Bereni, acquired from the Reds, will go for New York, and Scott Sanderson for the Cubs. We'll be home tomorrow on the Cubs Wrigley Field version of Banner Day. Strike, pops some leather with that one.
Every now and then he can rush that fastball up there, but his strong point is lots of double plays. He's one of the league leaders the last 2 years in double plays because of that sinker.
2 balls, 1 strike. 2-2. Montreal at Philadelphia today, St. Louis at Pittsburgh, Houston at San Diego, Cincy at L.A. The Giants host the Braves. Every time they get 2 strikes, the strikeout infection of this crowd with Dwight Gooden, and they really anticipate every time that it's 2 strikes. Laid off of a breaking ball with something off of it, 3-2.
I would think, although it's not the automatic hit and run, that you'll see Dernier running on this one. Sarge does have a good eye, draws a lot of walks, but you've got to start something happening.
They thought so, too, and they push him back. The Arnie Harris fan club flew in from Chicago. Joe Stancato, Howard Tucker, and Carl Larson. Runner going. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Throw down, and it'll be a double play. It's their second today.
The throw is right on the money. The Sarge swung at ball 4, and there you see the throw to Chapman.
Their second double play today, their 90th of the year. No runs, no hits, no errors, a walk, double play, nobody left. Into the middle of the 4th, and still no score. In the New York 4th, Hernandez, Foster, and Strawberry are due. I mentioned the fact that they've got a long between games banner parade here. The folks that started it all. And the Cubs are going to have theirs tomorrow. You can parade on the field at Wrigley Field tomorrow from $225 to $250. $500 first prize, $300 second, $100 for third. Those banners all handicapped by Arnie Harris. Hernandez bounced out to second in the opening inning. Foul down the left side.
The Mets have swept all their doubleheaders this year. In the 3 doubleheaders, they've won the 6 games by a total of 7 runs. Their biggest margin of victory has been 2, so they've all been tight. And that's characterized the Mets club this year. Good, solid pitching all the way through.
1 ball, 1 strike, and they win those 1-run games. They come from behind a lot, and that's why they're on top. And also, you can say the same thing for the Cubs in many categories, and that's why they're right behind them. And there's a strike to make it 1-2.
They're 25-10 in 1-run games, and that shows a club that really battles you all the way down the line. Also, their bullpen has been immaculate this year. Orozco and Sisk have done a great job.
By a diving save, base hit Hernandez. Second straight inning, they led off with a hit. Hernandez gets his second hit of the series and brings up George Foster.
Hernandez goes the opposite way by the diving Ron Cey. He tried it on the first pitch, was successful that time.
Foster with a 7-game hitting streak in the second inning. His other time up today, he grounded out to second base. Of the first 5 outs when Trout retired the first 5 Mets in order, 4 were ground balls. The other was a strikeout swinging. He's added 3 other ground ball outs since then. 1 ball, no strikes to Big George. Strawberry on deck. Montreal gets a run in the first at Philly. Cardinals get a run in the first at Pittsburgh. Here, no score, 4th inning. Hernandez leading off the inning with a base hit. There's nobody out. There's a bouncer to Boa, going to flip right on 1. Fire, yes, a double play. And the Cubs have their 91st double play of the year.
That couldn't have been hit any better if you could have thrown it out there for the Cubs. It was a rocket right at Larry Boa, a quick 6-4-3 double play.
And in order to make it just that perfect, Boa couldn't have been playing better either, right?
Well, George has stopped becoming a dead pull hitter. He's starting to take the ball up the middle and to the right side, so Larry had him shaded perfectly.
Swing and a miss. In fact, his hit the other night that drove in a run was between first and second. Strawberry, a strikeout victim the first time up. The only one recorded so far by Trout, and that'll even the count at 1-1. Boston and Detroit have played into the second at Tiger Stadium, no score. Texas gets a run in the first at Toronto. Backs him off of there, 2-1. The White Sox are playing the Yankees at 35th and Shields today. The other games in the National, other than the 2 we gave you those spot scores, they'll be later on the coast. Fouled it right at his feet, 2-2.
Strawberry has 24 RBIs his last 21 games, and he's starting to come on a little bit. He started very strongly this year, then he went into a gigantic slump. He sat on the bench just a few games, came back in the lineup, but as a young hitter, he's going to have those periods where he struggles a little bit. Bill Robinson has been working with him. He's got a beautiful stroke, and it's only a matter of time.
He got him. Boy, he burnt off the inside corner. 2 strikeouts for the Rainbow Man, and Strawberry's been the victim each time. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, double play, nobody left. We played 4, and we are scoreless. Our game moves to the 5th at Shea in the opening game of a doubleheader. Durham, who has the only Cub hit so far, ready to face Terrell. Ball 1. Durham singled sharply between first and second to lead off the second inning. Two balls, no strikes.
Terrell doesn't have a good enough fastball to get inside on Leon Durham, so Durham's have a pretty good swing at this one.
3-0. Cubs have been the recipients of a walk. They've had one hit. Terrell has struck out 2. One was on the front end of a double play. He wasn't close, and Durham is on with the second walk, given up by Terrell as we approach the halfway mark of this game.
Last time up with Durham on base with a single to lead off the inning. Moreland tried to pull an outside slider. He grounded into a double play. This time he'll be looking to take the ball to the right side. You'd like to try to advance him. They're shading him a little bit at second base towards second.
Runner going, foul back. And Strawberry is up maybe a step or 2, and he might be 5 or 6 steps toward the right field line. Moreland, even though he hit some home runs, really, his best stroke is to right and right center.
Jim Fry trying to get something going, had Leon Durham going on the pitch. It was not a strike, but Moreland had to protect him on the hit and run.
Moreland 1 for 8 in this series with a run batted in. That's what he is for the year. He didn't play the first 4 games this year against this club. Going again, foul down the right side, trying to hit behind him in a hole 0-2. And while they go back to their spots, we're going to let all of our folks around the Middle West tell you who they are and where they're coming from as we pause for station identification. Milo Hamilton with Steve Stone taking you through the middle of another Chicago Cubs game, this time at Shea. 3rd game in a 4-game series, and a big homestand starts tomorrow. Phillies, Montreal, and then the Mets. No balls, 2 strikes. Foul right up this way, almost. Steve and I, neither one of us had to worry. Arnie was right out there. Now I know where Craig got all that ability to duck. 0-2. Moreland waiting again. Durham not as big a lead, not going anywhere with this one. A bouncer off the chest of Hernandez. He may be shaken up, folks. That might have hit on the collarbone. It may be more of a stinging sensation right now than really being hurt, because it might have hit right up on that collarbone, Stoney.
There you see the trainer out to have a word with Keith Hernandez. I think he's going to be okay. It did hit him right on the collarbone. A vicious shot off the bat of Keith Moreland. He goes to the right side, which is what he should be doing in this situation, and it pays off, because there you can see Hernandez going down, nobody covering first base. The Cubs have something going. A couple of base runners on, nobody out here in the 5th.
Jody Davis, the batter. Jody struck out swinging in the 2nd. It'll be interesting to see what direction Jim Fry goes in the 2nd game. He's going to make changes. He always does. But one of those interesting aspects of a 2nd game lineup will be who the catcher's going to be. He's just going to wait and see when the first game's over. Maybe with an hour and a half or 2-hour banner parade, we'll get a break and Jody will be rejuvenated. This is the day when you really need that backup catcher. 2 on, nobody out. Davis 1 for 9 in the series. Bunting foul up on the screen, strike 1.
That was not a sacrifice. Jody Davis was bunting for a base hit. It was a good idea. Even if Hubie Brooks does pick the ball up, you can't get Leon Durham at 3rd base. It would have moved the base runners up. So Jody, using his head, tried to lay one down. Unfortunately, this is not a very hot day here. So if he decides to catch Jody a couple of games, he won't have a lot out of him. We've seen it real muggy this time of year in New York.
No balls, 1 strike. Check of the runners. Good cut. Fouled it back, 2 strikes. They're into the 2nd at the vet. Phillies lead Montreal 2-1. They're in the 2nd at Three Rivers. Cardinals 1, Pirates nothing. They're in the 2nd at Toronto. Rangers lead the Jays 1-0. Jody in a hole 0-2. Durham's at 2nd, Moreland at 1st. Sellout crowd at Shea Stadium. They're not going to get the 150 they were thinking about for the weekend, but they're going to flirt with 140. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
The Mets apparently don't believe that Jody Davis can pull Walt Terrell because they've got Hubie Brooks well off the line at third base, and Rafael Santana is playing Jody up the middle. If Jody can turn on one, he's got a lot of room on that left side to drive a ground ball through.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And he goes level with him at 2-2. Home sweet home is going to be the theme quite a bit the next 4 or 5 weeks. Starting tomorrow with the Phillies. 2-2. Had the good eye that time, and that pitch didn't miss by much.
Well, if you're Jim Fry, Milo, do you start the base runners because you've got a double play candidate up? You got a good base runner at second base. We'll have to see how Fry decides it.
Jody's also been striking out a lot lately. 3-2. They're ready, and there they go. Swing and a bouncer, foul outside third. If you were betting they'd be moving, you had a pretty good bet, knowing Fry's philosophy of liking movement.
Also, he felt that he doesn't want to let Walt Terrell off the hook. No sense in hitting into a double play in this situation. From a catching standpoint, you got to figure you got a better shot at second base if he does strike Jody out. That's probably where the throw would have gone because Kelvin Chapman was covering second. He would have gone that way to try to complete the double play.
All right, Jody getting back up in there. Full count. Durham walked to start the inning. He's at second. Moreland with a hot shot off the body of Hernandez for a single. He's at first. Nobody out. Terrell taking a little extra time. Now he's ready. Will he send them again? Here they go. Swinging. Bouncer into left field. A base hit. Durham's going to score easily. And Moreland will get to third. A leaping Lena into left. And the Cubs are on the board first.
Well, we talked about plenty of room on the left side, and he hit the hole perfectly, right between Brooks and Santana. On a 3-2 pitch, if you're looking fastball, you're going to pull the ball. They didn't adjust their defense, and take a look at where the ball goes. Right in the hole. Leon scores easily. Moreland at third. The Cubs up 1-0 with runners at the corners, and still nobody out here in the fifth.
And Brooks, when he saw the runners, he had taken his initial step toward third. He doesn't field the ball anyway. But had it not have been the high hopper, he wasn't going to be back to get it. And the pitch here to Shea is a ball. So Jody gets his first RBI of the series, his third of the year against the Mets. And it is 1-0 as the Cubs break the ice first in the fifth inning. Chance to fatten the cat here with the Penguin facing Terrell, runners on the corners. Oh, he really muscled up and in on him that time, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Shea 2 for 9 in this series. He got a broken bat 2-run single yesterday when the Cubs had some fun with an 8-run inning.
He just fisted that ball out to center field. It was a good fastball, but he muscled it over second base.
Fouled way back out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Boa due up next. Fifth inning. The hits are even at 3. The Cubs lead 1-0. Nobody's made a boot in the field. And the good pitching continues. Excellent pitching in the first game. Yesterday, Sutcliffe kept you in the game. Denier made one of his rare errors on a ball that really handcuffed him. There's a fly ball into right field. Strawberry will make the play, but he's not going to throw anybody out from there. Moreland is coming home, and it is 2-0 Chicago. Sacrifice fly RBI off the bat of the Penguin, and the Cubs have a 2-run lead.
That was not a good pitch by Walt Terrell in this situation. He's got to be thinking about a strikeout, and the best way is a slider on the outside corner. He throws a fastball down the middle, a pitch that Ron Shea can hit a fly ball on, and he does just that. RBI number 55. The Mets fall behind 2-0.
Here is Boa, bounced to short the first time up. Trout due up next. A lot of camaraderie in that dugout now. And as always, Penguin looking at that wrist. As I got into the clubhouse today, went over and took a hold of that right wrist, gave it a little massage. He says, I don't know if that'll help. I said, hey, let's try everything. That thing has stuck around too long on what we thought was broken originally when he got hit by a pitch. Then for a day or two it'd feel good. It's just been a nagging, constant irritant, and he just hadn't been able to swing the good bat.
Nice play by Mike Fitzgerald, who worked with Vern Hoscheit, the catching instructor, in spring training.
3 balls, no strikes to Boa.
Fitzgerald said he worked all spring on lots of pitches in the dirt, his technique, and he said it's really helped him.
He walked him. Second walk of the inning, third walk of the game. That'll push Jody to second. So 2 on with 1 out, and Trout will be the batter. And there's not a lot of glee in Davy Johnson, and he is shouting out what I would imagine are words of encouragement to his right-hander.
One of Terrell's strong points is not beating himself. That hasn't been the case this inning with 2 bases on balls, especially a base on balls to Durham to lead off the inning. He eventually scored the first Cub run.
Here is Trout. Blooped one into left in the third. Foster seemed to get a late start on it, but was able to come on, dive, and hang on to it. 2 on, 1 out. Bunting it out in front of the plate. Pitcher looked, then bobbled it just a little bit. Knew then he had to go to first base. And Trout moves him up 90 feet. Jody to third. Boa to second.
If he fields that ball cleanly, he can retire Jody Davis at third base. But when he came out, the ball eluded him a little bit. We'll take another look at it right here. The bunt is not far enough away from Fitzgerald. Now watch what happens. There you see, he can't field it cleanly. He's only got 1 play, and the sacrifice is accomplished.
By trying to sneak a peek at third, probably cost him getting it cleanly. Because you saw on the replay also that he was looking to third when he was trying to grab the ball, so he didn't get the good, clean grab. So the 2-4 sack. Denier has a chance to put some more on the board here. Runners second and third, 2 away. And the pitch is in for a strike.
Through the first 4 innings, Terrell threw 24 pitches. Arnie Harris tells us that right now he's at the 25-pitch mark this inning. So It's been a tough one for him.
0-1. Couldn't hold up. So he's got Bobby in a hole, 0-2. Sandberg would be next. Take a look, see what you think. Yep. 0-2. Jody Davis third, Boa second. In 2 hits and 2 walks in the inning, Cubs lead 2-0. Strike call. Denier wasn't sure that that was a strike, but the umpire was, and the Cubs get a pair on 2 hits. No errors, 2 walks, sacrifice, 2 left. In the middle of the 5th, halfway through this one after 4, who attends the Cubs-Phillies game at Wrigley Field this Wednesday on August 1st, you'll be receiving a handy Cubs thermal mug, compliments of Whoppers malted milk candy. The Cubs thermal mugs, great for storing any beverage, and they look just great too. So be sure to get your tickets in advance for Thermos Day, August 1st at Wrigley Field.
We'd like to send best wishes along to Marty Salomon and wish him a speedy recovery.
Hubie Brooks had a base hit in the second. Strike, 0-1. They've gone to the third at Three Rivers. Redbirds 1, Buccos nothing. Bottom of the second at the Vet, Phillies 2, Expos 1. One ball, 1 strike. Third inning at Toronto. Texas leads the Blue Jays 1-0. In the third at Detroit, Boston and the Tigers, no score. Cleveland fails in the first at Baltimore. The Birds are now batting. 1-1. Make it 2-1. Brooks batting, Fitzgerald on deck, then Santana. Their hits belong to Brooks, Santana, and Hernandez. Bouncer through the hole. Their infield reacting a little like the Cub infield did on the last homestand. Those bouncers really bouncing high on natural surface.
Fitzgerald hit the ball very well last time up, lining out to Leon Durham. He likes to take the ball that way. He has also been a pleasant surprise to Davy Johnson with the bat. They tried everybody behind the plate. They gave John Gibbons a shot. They gave Hodges a shot, but they knew he'd be the backup. They gave Junior Ortiz a shot to take the #1 catching job, but Fitzgerald has emerged.
Could be two, flip and fire, and the Cubs make their second double play of the day and their 92nd of the year, and 2 in the last 2 innings.
He hit the ball right on the nose, but hit it right at Sandberg. This is an easy 4-6-3 double play. Larry coming across. You see him drag his foot across the bag. No chance for Fitzgerald to beat this one out.
The Mets, by the way, have now bounced into 102 double plays. Here's another high bouncer to Rhino. Turns out to be an easy inning, even with a leadoff single. So another ground ball out for the Rainbow Man. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, double play, nobody left. We played 5. First game of a doubleheader. Cubs lead 2-0. Sold out Shea Stadium. We'll see the Cubs send up the 2-3-4 hitters in the 6th, Sandberg, Matthews, and Durham.
When Terrell came over from the Texas Rangers, the Mets sent him to Tidewater. He got off to a great start in 1983, going 10-1. He earned a promotion to the Mets ball club, and last year Terrell went 8-8. Pretty respectable for the kind of team that the Mets had in 1983. This year he's thrown better than his 8-7 record would indicate. The earned run average just over 3 a game.
Sandberg 0 for 2, came in with a 6-game hitting streak. Right past the diving Hubie Brooks. 7-game hitting streak for Rhino. His 4th hit in the series in 11 at-bats.
The next batter, left fielder Gary Matthews.
Let's see, that is the 4th time in, let's see, 1, 2, 4th time in 6 innings that the Cub leadoff hitter's been on. Matthews has flied out and struck out on the front end of a double play. Runner going, tried to protect him. Throw down will be in time. So Fitzgerald, who the Cubs ran on freely 2 days ago, has nailed a couple here today.
This is a great pitch to throw. It's right where he can get it and fire, and he makes another pinpoint throw to Kelvin Chapman, laying the tag on Sandberg, getting Terrell out of a jam.
And the next pitch is called a strike, and Matthews giving Eric Gregg a little static. In fact, now wants the umpire to look at the ball. No balls, 2 strikes. St. Louis is up the ante at 3 Rivers. They're leading the Pirates 4-0 in the 3rd. So the Cardinals, who really took it on the chin here at Shea, have gone over to Pittsburgh and turned it around. And Matthews is going to give it to Eric Gregg again. That's 4 strikeouts for Terrell.
He's arguing on the 2nd strike. There's no complaint on this strike. It's a fastball right down the middle, but he's talking to Eric Gregg about putting him in a hole so that he allows him to take an 0-2 pitch down the middle.
Fouled off by the Bull, who's had a single and a walk and scored 1 run. Cubs are batting in the 6th. Hernandez will flip it. It was close because the Bull can fly. They just did get him. Hernandez to Terrell, who got over. Score at 3-1. No runs, 1 hit, a caught stealing, no errors, nobody left. And coming to the bottom of the 6th with the Cubs on top, 2-0. Steve Trout with a 4-hit shutout going here, and he'll be looking at his mound opponent, Walt Terrell, a fellow who in other games has hurt the Cubs more with his bat than he did with his arm.
through the first 5. There has not been an outfield putout here today. Steve Trout has been that dominating. His sinker is working exceptionally well. The Mets can't do anything with it. He's got to retire a tough man in Walt Terrell.
He threw a couple of changeups that were beauties, too, didn't he? That's a convenient hop for the captain, and Boa throws out Terrell, so 1 pitch, 1 out.
When Trout is right, he throws what's called a heavy ball. It's a sinker, and he'll break a lot of bats because he throws a lot of fastballs on the hands of both right and left-hand hitters. He's not afraid to go inside to right-hand hitters, but his best sinker is away to the right-handers and in to the left-handers.
Mookie Wilson has gone 0 for 10 in this series. That's a strike, and I said when the game began, I hope we have as good a luck with him as that leadoff spot as they did with him in the 2 spot, because he's the kind of a guy gets on, he'll rattle you. 1 ball, 1 strike.
The Mets have been successful on close to 80% of their steals this year, so they're not only good base runners, they've got some speed.
But one of those rabbits is not playing in this game.
Wally Backman is a very good base runner. I don't think that Chapman has developed the skills on the bases that Backman has at this point.
Ball's behind him, 3-1. Chapman due up next. Nobody on, 1 away. New York batting in the 6th. The hits are even at 4. The Cubs are leading 2-0. Lined into right center. That'll be a gapper. Moreland cut it off, but wasn't able to come up with it cleanly, and Wilson has his first hit of the series.
If Moreland fields this ball cleanly, he can keep Mookie Wilson at first base, but with the play in front of him, Wilson is looking at Moreland all the way. As soon as he dropped the ball, Wilson was off to the races. There you can see it. No chance to get Mookie at second.
And the batter, Kelvin Chapman, he's bounced to short. He's grounded to third.
They're giving Moreland an error on that. So the official scorer felt that Mookie would have stopped at first base. Keith Moreland is charged with the first error of the game.
It's the first one in for a strike, so give Wilson a single and an E9 that got him to second. Runner coming toward third, throw down, and it'll be out. He overslid the bag. Shea stayed right with him. With a right-hand batter that Jody had to throw over, Shea grabbed it, then he just went right down on him. Watch this.
He tries to avoid the tag, and he goes by the bag. Then he can't get back. Ron Shea, you can see the tag on the arm, the call by Terry Tata. A terrible base-running mistake by Mookie Wilson.
Well, the Penguin was right over him. So now there's nobody on and 2 away. Got a break on him over sliding the bag.
He might have re-injured that shoulder, Milo.
Tried his let up there, but it just didn't do what he wanted it to do. 2 balls and a strike, but at least it lets the hitter know that he's got one. Bouncer, another big hop, and Trout with yet another ground ball out, and the side has been retired. Nice going, Mr. Stone. Enjoyed it, and I'll see you later, pal. We have played through 6, and the Cubs are still in front 2-0.
Right fielder, Keith Moreland.
Here's Moreland now to lead it off. He got a hit on a bad bounce in the 5th inning. That set the stage for the 2 subsequent runs that the Cubs scored. One on Davis's base hit and the other one on Shea's sacrifice fly. Here's a pitch by Terrell. Swung, base hit like a... Hey, it hits the bag and bounces in the left field. That was a carom shot. 8 ball in the side pocket.
First, it almost hits Terrell. Then on its way out to center field, is deflected by the second base bag.
Watch this.
You don't see this too often. It hit the bag squarely, then over the head of Santana. and Moreland gets an unusual base hit.
Boy, just think of the odds of that happening. You could try to do that for the next 50 years and never succeed. Here's Jody Davis, drove in the first run of the ball game. Runner at first, nobody out. Here's the pitch. He's going to swing, and he dribbles one. Down the first base line, foul. Walt Terrell, who's pitching for the Mets, wanted to be remembered to his parents, John and Barbara Terrell, from the Blackiston Mill area near Jeffersonville, Indiana, who watch the games all the time on WGN. So a greeting to Walt's parents, John and Barbara Terrell. Jody Davis swings and misses a high fastball. Tom and Marilyn Cahill are here from Western Springs with their family. 0-2 the count. Moreland a lead off first base. Now the pitch, here it is. A little wide. 1-2 the count. Steve Wallace and Dan McQuaid here from Chicago. Jody Davis waiting. The pitch. High, ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Last time Jody was up, Terrell went ahead 0-2 and then even the count at 3-2.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Jody found his first time, drove in an important run on the next time. The pitch. He threw his bat at that ball, a little pop fly. Short right field in foul territory, uncatchable. The Remigans are here from Northwest Indiana, pulling for the Cubs.
There you can see it's clouding up a little bit here at Shea Stadium, but the Cubs got a break on the weather this weekend. Rain was forecast all weekend, but they haven't had a whole lot of problems with it yet.
Group of young fans here from Rockford, Illinois. Pete and Brian Schwartz, the Houses, and others. Wide, ball 3. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Moreland probably will be going here to stay away from the double play. Now Terrell is ready. Here's the pitch. There goes a runner. Swung on. A ground ball. Brooks got it. Throws to second base. They get him anyway. Double play. Even though the runner was running. That'll tell you something about Moreland's lack of speed.
Chapman stayed in there well at second base. With Keith Moreland bearing down on him, he realizes he's got to get the ball away. Moreland does his best to take him out. It's no contest at first. The only contest is at second. The call by Bruce Fremming, a good call.
So Shea comes up now with 2 out, nobody on. 2-0 in favor of the Cubs. The ball was at right at Hubie Brooks. Ordinarily, the infielder might not make the play at second base knowing the runner was going. But Brooks made the play and got his double play easily. There's a drive, but it's going to go foul. A long drive foul off the bat around Shea, and he's in the hole 0-2. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 7th, they're going to have the heart of their batting order coming up. Wide fastball. 2 men are out, nobody on. We're on the top of the 7th. The Cubs are leading 2-0. Struck him out. Shea goes down swinging. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, nobody left. We go into the bottom of the 7th. Cubs out in front, 2-0. Caray back at Shea Stadium. We go to the bottom of the 7th, and they have the heart of their batting order. It'll be Hernandez, Foster, and Strawberry. Hernandez has 1 out of 2 today. Trout has made 70 pitches so far. Here's the pitch to Hernandez. Fastball a little bit low. There's a strike call. A ball and a strike. They play Hernandez straight away. He likes to hit to the opposite field. Here's the pitch. Bouncing ball right to Shea. He's got it. Over to first for the out. Hernandez bounced one sharply right at Ron Shea. 1 away. Here's Foster. Twice he's rolled out. Once into a double play.
Bill Robinson tried to impress upon George Foster that he doesn't have to knock in all his runs with home runs. He felt that the last couple of years, George was pressing here in Shea Stadium after coming over with the big reputation from the Cincinnati Reds. He said you can help the ball club by hitting behind base runners, knocking in some runs with singles, and he tried to get George to use the whole field. George has been doing that lately, and the average has come up from the 220s to the 250s.
Here's the pitch to Foster, swung on and fouled out of play. Some of the Cubs start a homestand tomorrow afternoon at Wrigley Field against the Philadelphia Phillies, Chicago East. It'll be a 3:05 starting time tomorrow. It'll be a banner contest. Here's the pitch a little bit low. So why don't you think of some clever idea, make a banner out of it. You might win first prize of $500, second place money of $300, or third place $100. Here's a line drive to Durham for the out. Foster line to Durham. 2 up, 2 down.
Now batting for the Mets, right fielder,
Steve Trout giving his ball club a great performance when they really need it. In his first game of a doubleheader. He has them shut out with 2 out here in the 7th. There's a slider a little bit outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Hubie Brooks on deck. Each team with 5 hits. Bouncing ball to Boa. That ought to be easy. Over to first to retire the side. 1, 2, 3. Nothing across. At the end of the 7th, the Cubs 2, the Mets nothing. Harry Caray back at Shea Stadium. We go to the top of the 8th.
Whichever is nearer to you.
Larry Boa will lead it off. He walked and rolled out so far.
Shortstop, Larry Boa.
Cubs have 2 more innings to hold them in. Hey, Minnesota out in front of the Angels 2-0 in the second. They're going for a 3-game sweep over the California Angels. As a matter of fact, there's a pitch. Strike call. As a matter of fact, the Twins are leading the American League West, believe it or not, by a half game over the Angels. There's a pitch foul. Out of play. A big homestand coming up for the Cubs. Banner Day tomorrow launches it, starting a 3-game series at the Phillies. Then the Montreal Expos will be in town for 4 games, followed by the New York Mets 1 week from tomorrow. 1 week from Tuesday will be a doubleheader. They're there for 4 games. So that's an 11-game homestand. A great chance to make hay. Strike 3 called the ball. One away. Here's Steve Trout.
Good slider by Walt Terrell. It catches the outside corner, and Eric Gregg, the emphatic call.
Rainbow Trout, the hitter. The pitch swung on. There's a drive in the center field, going to be caught. Trout hit that ball hard. 2 out. Dernier will want to take a little time now to give him a breather.
Dernier.
2 men are out, nobody on base, 2-0. Looking ahead, they will have Brooks, Fitzgerald, and Santana coming up in the 8th.
Terrell's pitched a fine ball game to this point. His only problem, the 5th inning, the leadoff walk to Leon Durham, the single by Moreland. That was the inning he gave up the Cubs only 2 runs.
Well, that's where he got the bad break, because the single by Moreland would have been a double play had it not taken a bad bounce and hit Hernandez on the side of the head. 2 out, nobody on. Bobby Dernier takes a strike, and the count is even. Dernier, nothing out of 2 today. Takes the pitch high.
The biggest pitch of the day for Walt Terrell was the slider he threw to Dernier, a called strike 3 in the 5th inning with 2 men in scoring position. That kept him in the ball game.
Here's a pitch swung on. A high fly ball will be caught. Foster under it, and he grabs it. 1, 2, 3, nothing across. We go into the bottom of the 8th. Cubs are leading 2-0. A reminder on that Cubs apron. To order, send $14.95. $14.95. Illinois residents add 91 cents tax. Send the Cubs designer apron. Box 538. Prospect Heights, Illinois. The zip is 60070. Our phone 1-800-222-CUBS. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Here's Hubie Brooks. He has 2 of the 5 hits.
Lee Smith is warming up in the bullpen just in case Steve Trout should run into any difficulties. He's been keeping the ball down very well all afternoon, but Jim Fry doesn't want to take any chances, so the big guy is getting loose.
Hubie Brooks leading off for the 3rd time in the ballgame. There's a fastball in there for a strike call. I take that back. He batted with 2 out in the 2nd, but he let off in the 5th. Trying for his 3rd straight hit. Fouls it back to the screen, and Trout's ahead of him. 0-2.
Hubie says it's different coming to the ballpark this year. He's got a lot more confidence. He says Bill Robinson has helped instill that in him. There you take a look at Doug Sisk. Hubie says he feels every time at bat he's going to get a good pitch to hit.
Now the pitch. Ball foul outside 3rd. Hey, that gal missed one this time. Earlier in the game, that ball girl down the left field line made a great one-handed stab. But nobody's perfect.
Terrell due up 4th this inning, and Davy Johnson has his bullpen busy just in case he gets down to the pitcher's spot.
Steve Trout. Delivered. Change up outside and low. 1-2 the count. Just missed with it. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good sinker away right now from Steve Trout. Will have a good shot at retiring Hubie Brooks. He's missed on the inside corner. Hubie hits the off-speed pitch pretty well. Let's see what he does.
The delivery. Fastball, but he missed. And now, after being 0-2, he has come down to 3-2. Here's the pitch on the way. Check him out swinging. He might have chased a bad ball. That's a 3rd strikeout for Trout.
Fitzgerald.
There's Mike Fitzgerald, the catcher, coming up. He lined out to Durham his first time. Then he rolled into a double play the next time. So he's hit the ball sharply twice. 1 out, nobody on. Strike at the knee. 1 strike to nothing. Trout going for his first shutout of the year. Now the delivery, here it is. Let up outside.
You saw Fitzgerald talking with Jody Davis. Catchers like to commiserate with one another about foul tips off the shins and elbows. They're usually very friendly.
Aren't pitchers? Here's the pitch, swung, and he missed. What's the matter? Are you guys unfriendly?
No, the pitchers like to talk with one another, but
you don't have anything to talk about.
Usually it's a base hit that one pitcher gets off the other pitcher that does him in.
1 out, nobody on. Fitzgerald. 1 and 2. Foul back into the stand. Rafael Santana due next.
Bill Robinson is trying to get Fitzgerald to swing down on the ball a little bit, not hit so many fly balls. He wants him to try to keep the ball on the ground. His percentages are better that way.
Now ready? Fitzgerald calls time. First game of the doubleheader. Now ready? The pitch. High pop foul back. Out of play. For the first 7 innings, Steve Trout has made a total of 78 pitches. For the first 8 innings, Terrell. First, though, here's the 1-2 pitch. Struck him out on a changeup. Fitzgerald goes down swinging. 4th strikeout for Trout, 2 in a row this inning.
And still no outfield putouts here with 2 outs in the 8th inning.
In fact, only 1 of the 5 hits was in the air. The other 4 were ground balls also. But Mookie Wilson's double on the 3-1 pitch was a line drive in the right center. Here's Santana taking a strike.
Trout owns that outside corner today. He's jumping right on top of everyone with a first pitch strike.
There's a foul ball out of play, and he's ahead again. 0-2. Steve Trout going for his 10th victory of the year. The pitch. Almost hit him inside. Trout will be 27, July 30th. Got a birthday coming up tomorrow. Here's the pitch. There, let up, and he singles sharply in the left field.
He got ahead of a weak hitter and then threw him an off-speed pitch. It's not a good practice, and Rafael Santana made him pay the price. Jerry Martin is now going to hit. There you see the changeup up a little bit on the inside portion. And Walt Terrell will leave the ball game, and Jerry Martin will come in.
You know, Steve, you're the pitcher. But that, I can't understand that. They say never throw a pitcher or a weak hitter a changeup because that's the only pitch they can hit. And here you got a weak hitter, you got him in a hole, you've overpowered him with fastballs, and you throw him a let-up.
And it cost him. There you take a look at Lee Smith. Jerry Martin this year hitting 119 as a pinch hitter, 1 for 15. He went down to the minor leagues to rehabilitate. John Stearns came up here, but Stearns was still having problems with his shoulder when he swung the bat. Now Martin is back.
Here's the pitch to Jerry Martin, and it's a fastball a little bit low. Used to be with the Cubs. Be careful here. The pitch. Swung, and he missed. Martin hit 23 homers, a member of the Cubs, in 1980. Had 19 in 79. Had 15 for Kansas City in 82. The pitch. Strike two. Over the outside corner.
Martin has hit 1 home run this year with 2 RBIs. There you take a look at Jody Davis looking over into the Mets dugout. Nobody's going to give you a sign in the dugout, Jody. Call a good, hard fastball on the outside corner.
Now the stretch, the pitch, here it is. Chuck him out! Martin is caught out on strikes. Trout struck out the side. No runs, 1 hit, no errors. 1 left at the end of 8. The Cubs 2. The Mets nothing. Harry Caray back at Shea Stadium as we go now into the top of the 9th. And Doug Sisk is back in there for the Mets.
There you take a look at the numbers on Doug Sisk. 1-3, 182 earned run average, making his 44th appearance. He's got 14 saves and 64 1/3, giving up a scant 41 hits. 26 strikeouts and 45 walks. He's had some problems coming into the ball game and walking the first hitter. And boy, can the fans turn on you. He's had 4 tough performances in a row. And even with a 182 earned run average, he was greeted by some scattered boos here at Shea Stadium. He's had some shoulder problems. He's trying to work them out. Dave Johnson giving him an opportunity to get an inning of work here in the first game. And he'd like to hold the Cubs down and give them a chance in the bottom of the 9th.
Let's pause here for station identification.
WCIA Champaign, W49AA Springfield.
Ryan Sandberg leads it off. And Sisk throws the first pitch over for a strike.
To find Steve Trout's last shutout, you have to look all the way back to July 6, 1980 against the Oakland A's while a member of the White Sox.
There's a high drive, right center, going to be caught. Mookie Wilson near the warning track, and he makes the catch. Boy, that's a Statue of Liberty way of catching a fly ball.
What he was trying to do, Harry, even with the sunglasses down, he tried to put the glove right up in the sun, keep his eye on the ball, and pull it down. But the one-handed catch certainly has come into vogue the last few years.
I thought maybe he was cheering the crowd into another one of those waves. That's the way they raise their hands.
We've seen enough waves here to last us for some time.
Here's Gary Matthews. He's 0 for 3 in this game and struck out twice. Sisk gets ready to pitch. There's a shot in the right center, a base hit. Matthews lines a single to right center. Strawberry cut that ball off, kept it from rolling to the wall.
Matthews has had some problems with his knees. He ices them down after every game, and now Jim Fry is going to take him out. There's going to be a pinch runner at first base. It's Henry Cotto, as the Sarge will rest his knees and get ready for the second game.
Here's Durham now. Cotto running for Gary Matthews. Matthews 1 out of 4 today. 4 hits in the series and 8 times at bat.
At the plate, first baseman Leon Durham.
Here's Durham.
Sisk is 6'2", 210 pounds, and lives and dies with a hard sinker. He throws the ball around 90 miles an hour. The bottom falls out of it.
There's a strike called. Boy, Durham, during batting practice, actually hit one out of the ballpark, beyond the bullpen in right field, over the back wall. Here's the pitch. Strike 2 call. But John Vukovich was pitching batting practice, and not Doug Sisk. 2 good sinkers. 0-2 the count. There goes a runner. Hey, and Fitzgerald cannot make a play. Cotto steals second. The pitch was in the dirt. He picked a great pitch to go on, and Fitzgerald dropped the ball, trying to scoop it out of the dirt.
0-2 is a good pitch to run on. You figure the pitcher might waste one. He did just that. Fitzgerald made a good play just blocking that ball and almost had an opportunity to throw to second.
All right, now Durham with a man in scoring position. There's a base hit. Cotto is going to try to score. Here he comes around third. Here's the throw coming to the plate, not in time. And on the plate, Durham goes to second. 3-0 in favor of the Cubs. Durham picks up RBI number 62.
George Foster waited back on that ball in left field. He didn't charge it aggressively, and that set up the run. Henry Cotto, you can see, has to wait to make sure the ball goes through. You can see George deliberately coming in, then he doesn't make a throw that UB Brooks can cut off. So Leon Durham goes into scoring position at second base. RBI number 62.
And you got to give the third base coach a little credit. Zimmer was waving Cotto in all the way. Here now is Moreland with a man in scoring position, low and outside. So, Sisk, who is charged with 4 runs in that 8-run 8th inning yesterday, facing 4 men, has faced only 3 today and has already allowed a run. 3-0, the Cubs lead. There goes the man trying to steal third. He's going to be out. From Fitzgerald to Hubie Brooks. Well, surprised you didn't have that big a lead.
Not a good base running play because he's in scoring position already with only 1 out. The throw is in easily. Fitzgerald has thrown out 3 out of 4 today. There you can see the throw on the money, the tag on the front foot, and Durham is retired.
That's the same play Mookie Wilson tried earlier. Did us a favor on, and both men were thinking the same way. To get to third with less than 2 out so that a ground ball or a fly ball could score. Minnesota leading the Angels 4-1 in the third. Low. Ball 3. Durham with 2 out of 3 today. Cubs out in front 3-0. Here's the pitch. Strike 2 call. Moreland thought it was wide. There's a long drive, deep right center. Mookie Wilson near the wall. Makes the catch to retire the side. The ball was well hit, but out. 1 run, 2 hits. No errors, nobody left. We go into the bottom of the 9th. Steve Trout working on a shutout, which would be his first since he was a member of the White Sox. 3-0 Cubs as we go in the bottom of the 9th.
Number 28, Henry Caray.
Stand by here.
Harry Caray back at Shea Stadium. Here's Mookie Wilson to lead it off. He's 1 out of 3 today. Cubs are out in front 3-0. A victory would pull them within 2.5 games of first place. Here's the pitch. 1 ball, no strikes.
Was Wilson's base running mistake that was the highlight of this game as far as the Cubs were concerned when he overslid third base.
Ball 2 is high. And Jody Davis goes out to talk to Steve Trout. This is Trout's 20th start of the year. He's pitched 2 complete games, one of them against the Mets.
You could see Jody Davis exhorting Steve Trout. He wants him to finish this one up. Jody taking charge right there, telling him to bear down. Lee Smith in the bullpen just in case Trout needs him.
Strike called. 2 balls and a strike. Steve pitched a 7-hit complete game opening day against the Mets at Wrigley Field. Ground ball. Round save. Easy out. 2 more and she's over.
Well, you've got to like the way Jody Davis went out there with a 2-ball count. You could see the veins standing out in his neck, emphatically telling Steve Trout to concentrate. Don't lose it right here. You've earned the shutout. Now just go get it.
1 out, nobody on. Kelvin Chapman rolled out 3 different times. Trout is fan 4. "21 out of the 25 outs have been either strikeouts or ground balls." Here's a pitch swung on left field. Should be easy. Henry Cotto, who replaced Gary Matthews, makes the catch. Kelvin Chapman flies out. 2 gone. Here's Hernandez. He's 1 out of 3 for the day.
Well, it took the Mets till the 9th inning, but they finally recorded an outfield putout. But Steve Trout will gladly trade the out for the fly ball to left field.
2 of their outs have been on line drives. Now 1 on an outfield fly. There's a smash off of Sandberg's glove, a base hit. That ball was really creamed. A base hit. And Sandberg come up with that. It would have really been something.
Sandberg almost keeps this ball in the infield. You can see it rolling by Bruce Fleming. He came an eyelash from ending the game.
Each team with 7 hits now. Here's Foster. He's 0 for 3. Two men out. The pitch. Swung and he missed. Cubs will go to within 2.5 with a victory. That evens the count. A ball and a strike. Fouled it back. A victory in this game would assure the Cubs another winning road trip. One and two the count. Hey, struck him out. The Cubs win. Steve Trout, a magnificent effort. And everybody comes in to congratulate him. Off the dugout bench also. Boy, there was some performance when you really needed it. 5 strikeouts, no walks, 7 hits and no runs. And the Cubs are assured of no worse than a split in this 4-game series with the Mets, and now have a chance of winning it 3 out of 4 going into the 2nd game. We'll be back with the totals in a moment. Harry Caray and Steve Stone back at Shea Stadium, where the Chicago Cubs moved to within 2.5 games of the first-place New York Mets as they shut them out, making it 2 in a row in the series. And Steve Trout was absolutely magnificent. You know, Arnie was keeping the balls and the strikes. Trout made a total of 110 pitches, of which 57 were strikes and 53 were balls.
Well, Harry, he didn't walk anybody, so he had excellent control today, but more than no walks, he got ahead of all the Met hitters. He really handcuffed them all afternoon. The Mets have had trouble against left-handers. They're only 1 game over 500 against left-handers, compared with 19 over 500 against right-handers. Trout took advantage of that today. He nullified the left-hand hitters and was tough all day.
Now, if the Cubs can get the same kind of performance out of Scott Sanderson as they've just gotten from Steve Trout, this could be a beautiful ride back home to Chicago tonight.
It's going to be a good second game because Bruce Bereni is going to throw for the Mets. He's thrown 7 good outings since coming over from the Cincinnati Reds. Scott Sanderson is going to go for the Cubs. But so far, the Mets have shown that they don't give up, Harry. They keep coming back at you. And like the Cubs, sometime during the ball game, the Mets will put the tying run up to bat.
Well, that's the quality about the Cubs that's been so admirable this year, too, is the fact that they lose a heartbreaking game, and you think it might take something out of them, and they come right back. For example, that 2-1 loss Friday night, it could easily have taken the heart out of you to lose a ball game like that. They came back, had a lead 3-0 yesterday. Here come the Mets, they tie it, and the Cubs bounce back with 8 in the 8th inning and win it easily. Now here today, they shut them out. So I think the handwriting on the wall becomes brighter and brighter with the Cubs colors.
Well, the Mets knew that they were in for a battle in this series, and they knew regardless of the outcome of this series, it was going to be 2 months of solid, close baseball. Nobody felt that either team was capable of blowing out the other ball club, and they know that at the end of the year, it looks like it's going to be the Mets and Cubs right down the line.
A big break in this ball game, besides the Mookie Wilson play, I thought was a ground ball off Moreland's bat with Durham on as a result of a walk. The ball was sharply hit, and with a great fielder like Hernandez playing first base, the ball was hit directly to him. If he fields the ball as he normally would, it's a double play, and you don't get any runs in that inning. But as it was, it took a bad bounce, hit him on the side of the head, and the Cubs have runners at first and second with nobody out.
Well, Harry, when you do the right thing, it comes through a lot of times. And Keith Moreland, the first time up, tried to pull an outside pitch. With Durham at first base with a single, he grounded into a double play. But this time up, all 3 pitches, he went to the right side. He accomplished it because, as you say, the ball took the bad hop, but at least it was correct thinking.
You know, just looking at all the ground balls that Steve Trout, I guess that's the way that you can tell whether Steve Trout is right or not. When he's got that good sinking fastball, they have no place to hit it but into the ground. And that's all they were doing here today.
Jody Davis also caught a fine game behind home plate. Steve Trout didn't shake off Jody Davis too much today, and Jody Davis in the 9th inning with a 2-ball count on the leadoff hitter went out, and he told Steve Trout, look, this shutout is yours, just go get it. The Mets are ripe for the taking, and Steve Trout did. He made some good pitches all the way through, and he was really never in trouble.
All right, go about your way now, because you only have an hour and a half to fill during the Banner Day parade, and I want you to have some good guests, so go find them.
Well, I'm going to be here with Frank Cash, and he's always a good man to talk to. I'll talk to you later.
All right, Steve. Here are the totals now. 3 runs, 7 hits, and 1 error for the victorious Chicago Cubs. Steve Trout, his 3rd complete game of the year, and his first shutout since he was with the White Sox. July the 6th, 1980, that's 4 years ago, that he pitched his last shutout. And this is one, of course, that he will relish. Trout, the winner, he's now 10-5 for the year. For the Mets, no runs, 7 hits and no errors. Walt Terrell, who also pitched a fine ball game, was the loser. He now has won 8 and lost 8. Stay with us now. We have a long program coming up because they say the banner display is going to run at least an hour and a half. So with Steve Stone, Harry Caray at Shea Stadium, repeating the final score again, the Cubs 3 and the New York Mets, I wish you'd put out that cigar, nothing. See you in a little bit. So long, everybody.
Chicago Cubs baseball has been brought to you by Michelob. One smooth and mellow taste tells you that some things speak for themselves. This has been a presentation of the Tribune Entertainment Company.
We'll go back to Tidewater to make room on the roster for Gardner.
Gardner had played with Dwight Gooden at Lynchburg last year. And he comes with a fine reputation.
And pretty good stats.
Stat numbers are outstanding, 20 saves. for a ball club that's not winning that many ball games.
He might have all the saves they have. Well, now they're turning the crowd of banner paraders behind home plate and through the opening at the backstop.
I think they're doing that to clean up the outfield area.
They've got part of the ground crew out there raking up debris down the left field line.
There's the end of the parade and the roar in the background.
Crowd tells it all. Their chant of "Let's play ball," and then a roar upon seeing the final banner enter the stadium.
So we'll have a little time after the banner parade to fill in, as they have just informed us that the field will have to be put in readiness for the second game of this doubleheader. The Cubs winning the first game by a score of 3-0. Cubs now leading this series 2-1. And they have pulled up to within 2.5 games of the New York Mets.
And New York Mets Vice President Al Harrison just came in and told us that because of the length of the Banner Day parade and the work that will need to be done to ready the field, we're looking at about 20 minutes from right now for the first pitch. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 4:45, which would be about 22 minutes from right now, according to the scoreboard clock. And of course, we'll have Tim McCarver downstairs for interviews. Timmy will hopefully be talking to Davey Johnson, manager of the New York Mets, about this ball club and of course the series with Chicago and the race in the National League East as the Mets go for a pennant. Davey, of course, always candid and outspoken in what he has to say. And certainly, when you start to detail the things that have come into play to contribute to the success the Mets are enjoying, you'd have to put Davey Johnson's name right at the top of the list.
So the end of the Banner Day parade, as the final banners are taken off the field through the home plate area gate, and the grounds crew getting ready to get the field in shape for the second game of the doubleheader. This will be the final game of this short homestand. Mets go on the road. They'll play in St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and Chicago, then return home.
There'll probably be a few folks at that series in Wrigley Field next week, that's for sure.
Cubs playing the Mets in Wrigley Field on the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then the Mets return home against Pittsburgh for a 4-game series. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon. Then the Mets go on to the LA area, San Francisco and San Diego, returning back here August 24th with San Francisco. So the next 4 games will be here at Shea on August 9th through August 12th. And it will be the Pittsburgh Pirates playing it.
Win the second game, but go all the way. I think it's just a great chemistry, young ball players, veterans, a great manager, and a great broadcasting team.
Well, thank you very much. You are a West Coast person. You came originally from Los Angeles and worked in San Francisco before you came to Channel 9.
That's right.
How do you feel about our New York ball club now?
Well, listen, I mean, I came to the New York area. I had an open mind, and I said, I love baseball. I mean, baseball has always been my favorite sport. And this team has won me over. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I said, hey, 500 would be a great year. You know, I mean, because, you know, the Mets, of course, have a history where the last several years they've been down. They've had their big years. And this has just been beyond my wildest expectations. I mean, you and Tim and Ralph and the radio broadcast, Bob Murphy over on radio, the whole thing has really won me over. I am I'm obsessed with the Mets. Almost as much as the weather. Almost as much as the weather, Steve.
Well, I noticed that about your weather forecast, that you bring a great deal of enthusiasm with your hellos to everybody and the energy that you put forth. What caused that? What brought that about? How did you develop that style?
Well, you know, Steve, I broke into television in 1971, and I was in radio before that. But my first job in television was up in the sugar beet fields of Idaho, and you had a lot of little communities there and real community involvement. And I used to go, hello, Pocatello, or to whatever community it would be, and I wanted to get the people involved. And I'm telling you, it's something that has stuck with me, and it's kind of been my trademark. I mean, maybe it's a gimmick to a degree, but I think it makes the people feel very involved. At Channel 9, not only do we serve all of New Jersey, but we care about the entire tri-state area, and we care about every individual community and all the people that have helped support us. And Steve, I'm telling you, Channel 9 News has been above my wildest expectations. At noon and 8, I think we're hitting a home run.
Well, it certainly seems they're committed to news and to doing it for the entire tri-state area. What is one of the things that caused you to make the change to come here to New York? Obviously, it's a big step for you, I'm sure.
Listen, I mean, how can you argue with the #1 market in the country? This is the Big Apple. This is, I never expected I'd ever end up here, but the weather is interesting here. The weather is, you know, it's so changeable. You know, we get it all here. I mean, in the Bay Area, I mean, it was low clouds and fog and sunny inland, and it got boring. I need exciting weather. I need thunderstorms. I need snow. I need it all, Steve. I got to have weather. Then I can't sleep at night.
Well, as we go, Lloyd, how about giving us a special, personal hello to all those Mets fans out there?
All right, Steve, give me that mic. Are you ready? The Mets are going to win the pennant. They're probably going to win the second game. I'm going to be here for the World Series. Are you ready? Hello, Mets! #1.
Well, if this microphone still works, I want to thank Lloyd Lindsay Young for visiting with us, and we'll return to Shea for the second game of the doubleheader right after this message.
From San Diego, with the Cubs sending Camilo Martinez to San Diego. They also sent Fritz Connolly and Craig Lefferts to the Padres in that deal. And Sanderson going to the Chicago Cubs. Wally Backman, the leadoff. And the fastball, a called strike.
Scott Sanderson, a hard thrower, and he'll throw a curveball and a palm ball, and he is a competitor. He will battle you tooth and nail. Of course, he's big enough to.
And there's the curveball right there, and he has a good one. 1 ball and 1 strike. Wally Backman with an on-base percentage of .378 with 38 walks, 85 base hits. Did not play in the first game. And the fastball fouled away. Sanderson last year with the Expos won 6 and lost 7. He had 1 save. Didn't have any complete games.
When was the last time you saw Wally Backman hit a ball over the right fielder's head?
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it this year.
No. And the curveball chopped out over the mound. Coming strongly to field the ball, the shortstop, Dave Owen, and he gets the throw over to first base in time. So Backman grounds out as Owen gets his first chance.
Well, this ball came up to Dave Owen, and for that reason, he could make the play. Now, if this ball stays down, he has a tough play on that ball, but the ball bounced up where his arms and hands were, and he made the nice play.
So 1 away, and the batter will be Mookie Wilson. Mookie 1 for 4 in the first game, now hitting .272. And he drills one into the corner in right field. It is a fair ball. Mookie on his way to second base, now holding there, and he goes in with a stand-up double.
talk about a rope. Inside fastball hits the base of the fence. A little short hop out there. Keith Moreland retrieves it, and Mookie, well, I'm telling you, that was a seed to right.
You could hang your clothes on that one.
Got that right.
So Mookie at second with 1 out, and Keith Hernandez the batter. Keith 2 for 4 in the first game. Batting average at .313 for the year. He's hit .400 against the Cubs this year. 10 hits and 25 times up. Keith with 9 home runs and 60 runs batted in. And the fastball for ball 1. Hernandez hitting .306 with runners in scoring position. And the changeup curve, and the Cat 2 balls, no strikes.
Whenever a catcher catches a ball like that and then hesitates before throwing it back, then he wants that pitch, and so did Sanderson. Yeah, that's a strike. You call that a strike, Keith wouldn't have complained about it.
Right over, but too slow. The 2-0 pitch to Keith Hernandez. Fastball, 2-1. Keith in his last 6 games hitting .409, 9 hits and 22 times up. He's had 5 runs batted in. He's batting .358 in his last 35 games with 31 runs batted in. Batting with Mookie Wilson at second base. And now Sanderson taking too much time, and Hernandez asks for time and gets it. Two-1 pitch goes to the curveball. That puts the count at 3 balls and 1 strike. Sanderson making his 14th game start as you look at Darryl Strawberry, the on-deck batter. And it's hit on the ground. It's picked up by Shea. The throw to first base in time, and Ron Shea with a brilliant stop at third base. Make that Dan Rowan with a brilliant stop at third.
Dan Rowan on a low outside fastball. As you see, Hernandez rips it past Rowan, and he actually caught that ball behind him. Watch that. Reaches out behind him. He had an idea about trying to tag Mookie Wilson. Then he threw to first to get Hernandez. What a play by Rowan.
Oh, Hernandez loses a chance to put the Mets on top, and now Darryl Strawberry with his chance. Mookie Wilson at third base. And it's ball 1. Strawberry 0 for 3 in the first game, hitting .267, 16 home runs, 58 runs batted in. Strawberry checking the signs out from Bobby Valentine, the third base coach.
What could he be doing?
I don't know. He's got nothing to look for.
That's right. Go to whacking.
Just hit it. 1-0 pitch. And the curveball hangs high.
Looked like he was looking back at Jody Davis, too, didn't it, Ralph?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times catchers will complain on pitches and hitters get involved. That does not make you happy when you're a catcher. Here you are trying to make an argument. You say, hey, stay out of my argument, will you?
And that happens a lot. It becomes a debating game up there. The hitter says, you called it right. It was a strike. There's a strike. 3-1 the count. Darryl doesn't want to walk here. He's got a chance to drive in a run. Or he shouldn't want to walk here. Mookie at third base, 2 men out. Bottom of the first inning. That is a tough pitch right there, and that's a strike call.
I remember a confrontation I got into with Johnny Bench in our earlier days. As this ball right across the corner. Tough pitch is right. I was behind the plate and complained about a pitch. Johnny Bench said, you want it both ways, don't you? I said, yes. Don't you?
What else is new? There's a slider inside. And Strawberry walks, and that'll bring out Danny Heath. Well, the other day, Frank Robinson came out to argue with the umpire. Harold Porter, the catcher, started to talk. And Robinson said, "You can't talk to me."
That's right. I remember that. And at the end of the game, he said if he hadn't had his mask on, he'd have punched him in the nose.
Well, Robinson.
Yes, Frank Robinson would have said that. And Darrell Porter, I'll tell you, if he gets him, he gets all he wants.
He's got a lot to handle right there. So now Danny Heath. Danny playing in left field in place of George Foster. And the fastball for ball 1. Heath hitting .276. He has 1 home run, 9 runs batted in. 1 for 6 against the Cubs this year. And the fastball for ball 2. Mets have not scored today.
Scott Sanderson trying to be a bit too fine early in the ball game. A lot of times when you get runners on, as you have Mookie there at third, Strawberry at first, and I think that's what Jimmy Fry is going to tell him right now. Don't take that too fine approach. You challenge hitters and go right at these guys.
Well, he's got the kind of stuff to come at you.
Right. Yeah, he is not a nibbler. He's a power pitcher. Jimmy may be asking Jody Davis where those pitches were, so it'll give him a little fortification so he can complain. A lot of times when a manager argues in the dugout, he may be waiting till home plate umpire Randy Marsh gets out there.
And
so
you
can't complain about a ball and strike. That's exactly what he was doing.
That's exactly what he was doing. Now he's got a chance to say something to him about the strike zone. He was out there with the calm his pitcher down on those close calls.
What a snide way to argue with the umpire. Snide and sly, I should say.
Jim Fry was very sly. He baited that umpire to come out there. 2-0 the count. Fastball hit into left center field. Over there, the left fielder. And he jumps out of the way as he makes the catch. Thad Bosley hauling that in, and that retires the side. So the Mets threaten and do not score. Base hit and the walk, 2 left. And the score at the end of 1. The Cubs nothing, the Mets nothing. Now here's the word from Dotson.
You got it right. Hubie Brooks going over in foul territory, and then it took a weird hop. See Hubie right there, and now he sees it go fair, and it's too late to adjust. And Jody Davis has an unusual infield hit. Unusual because he does not run well.
And then you got to say, how did he do that? So a runner on for the Cubs, their first base hit, and it brings up Thad Bosley, the left fielder. Bosley hitting .192, 5 hits and 26 at-bats. And Bereni misses with a fastball. Thad Bosley. And a strike call. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Bereni came into this game having worked 101 innings, giving up 109 hits and walking 62. A lot of men on base. But most of that with the Cincinnati Reds. Since coming to the Mets, he has won 4 and lost 3. Ground ball to the second baseman. Should be a double play. There's one and the other. So the Mets make their 92nd double play, and that ends the inning. Runs to the bottom of the 9th inning.
Jerry Koosman again, 13-7 he is now. Remember earlier in the season when he was 1-3, when the Phillies were complaining about how there's no way they can, keep a guy like Koosman. Now they can't do without him.
Don't count old Koos down. He can do it.
0-1 to Hubie Brooks. Hubie 2 for 3 in the first game. Gets under this one and fouls it back. 0-2.
Hubie having a field day against the Cubs so far this year with 12 hits and 25 times up. That's a .480 batting average against Chicago.
0-2 to Hubie Brooks. Fastball is high, 1-2. Scott Sanderson, 27 years old, 6'5", 200 pounds, from Dearborn, Michigan. Slider gets him. First strikeout of the game for Sanderson. There's one away here in the second inning.
Right here, he gets the slider up a little bit. He'll be not able to make contact, and he strikes out his first batter.
In order of effectiveness, Scott Sanderson's fastball, curveball, and slider are used in that order. Here's Rafael Santana, and he swings and misses, 0-1. Santana had a good ball game in the first game. He was 2 for 3. He has done a fine job batting safely in 7 of his last 8 games. Fouls off a slider, and Sanderson's ahead of the first 2 hitters. It's now 0-2 to Santana.
Mets have sent Ross Jones, a shortstop, utility infielder, back down to Tidewater. They have announced that they have brought up a relief pitcher named Wes Gardner.
Curveball is high. Well, they do have some doubleheaders coming up. First of a long run of doubleheaders will be played at Wrigley Field in Chicago. 4 games in 3 days there, and then they come back against Pittsburgh. Swing and a miss on a fastball in a perfect spot. Second strikeout in a row for Sanderson.
And as Tim called it, the fastball might have been off the plate. Santana not able to make the contact, and that brings up Junior Ortiz. Now the home plate umpire, Randy Marsh, wants to look at the ball.
There's a piece of rawhide hanging out of the glove of Scott Sanderson, and Randy Marsh wants him to cut that off, I would think. Yeah, there we go. Randy's got good eyes.
Oh, I'll say.
Randy Marsh was the player as Junior Ortiz steps up there. Randy was the umpire behind the plate when he got smoked by that fastball from Mike Scott at the Dome in Houston. Junior fouls it back.
Back in the 30s, there was a pitcher that pitched for Cleveland named Allen that used to shred his undershirt, one on the underside of the baseball shirt.
Slider is high, 1-1.
And they told him that he couldn't do that anymore, and he kept on doing it, and he was fined something like $100. He sold the shirt to a department store and made $1,000.
Fastball swings and misses, 1-2.
They had it on exhibit. He won 15 and lost 1 that year. The game he lost was the last day of the season. He would have been the only pitcher to have a perfect record with 15 or more wins. Beat Detroit that year. Hank Greenberg was going for the record for RBIs, 184, and he didn't get any, and he ended up with 183.
Slider just misses, 2-2.
184 RBIs. That's a load, isn't it?
Hack Wilson, of course, back in 1930, drove in 190, highest ever.
For the Cubs.
Yep.
Hit 56 home runs that year. That was, and still is, the National League home run record.
As are the RBIs. Ground ball up the middle. Dave Owen will make the play, and he throws out Ortiz. So a strong inning for Scott Sanderson as the Mets go in order, and after 2 here at Shea, second game of a doubleheader, no score. Backman takes a high heater, 1-0 to Pollock. Molly fouls it back. Backman batting .297. He has 16 RBIs. Been quite a force in this Mets offense. Hits the ball to left field. And he does hit it to left. Sanderson got a glove on him. Backman has a hit. Had Sanderson not fielded that ball, Owen probably would have made the play.
Well, Sanderson gets in the way of this play. Ball chopped to the middle, and Owen over there would have been able to field that ball. Instead, Backman gets a base hit. Reaction play by the pitcher. They just go on with not knowing exactly where the infielders are. They have to make a try for it.
One thing you hate to see a pitcher do is go after it with that bare hand, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
What gloves are for, but as you said, you try for everything. This one backfired. Mookie Wilson doubled on the first pitch back in the first. He was stranded at third as Hernandez grounded to third base on a nice play by Dan Rowan. And then Danny Heap flied to left after Strawberry walked. 1-0 to Mookie Wilson. Hernandez on deck. Backman a base running threat. And there he goes. Fouled it back. Well, what a jump he had then.
You know, talking about pitchers fielding balls, Fat Freddie Fitzsimmons, the old giant pitcher, used to kick at balls going through there, and he'd deflect them to an infielder.
A beach ball has bounded onto the field from the screen. And the bat boy has it under control. So it's 1-1 to Mookie Wilson. Fastball is low, 2-1. The hit and run again here.
Absolutely. Put him in motion. Davis has thrown out 45 runners attempting to steal this year. But you still can't let that deter you.
He only threw out 43 last year. He's not running, and Mookie holds up 3-1. Harry Caray.
Not a lot of heart in that one.
3-1 to Wilson. One away. Backman at first. No score. Third inning. There goes Backman. Popped up in the infield. Sandberg is under it. The second baseman, and he makes the catch. 2 away. Well, Mookie had a good pitch to hit and popped it up. Keith Hernandez, the batter. Keith 2 for 5 in the first game. Make that 2 for 4. So he's 2 for 5 overall.
Paid crowd here today, 50,443. Total in the house, 52,054. Largest 3-date draw since the Dodgers in 1972. 139,063 seeing this series.
Hernandez calls timeout as Sanderson, in trying to make Backman wait, throw off his timing over at first base, as pitchers with poor pickoff moves tend to do. Hernandez called time, and it was granted to him by Randy Marsh. Ball hit well to center field. Bob Dernier back. What a play by Dernier. 2 brilliant maneuvers by the Cubs have saved at least 2 runs. One by Roan, the third baseman, and now by Dernier.
Oh, Dernier has that outstanding speed. He looks at the fence right there to see where he is and then tracks it down. Darrell hitting .267 for the year, and there's one out to left center field. Cotto on his way, and he'll get there. And that retires the side. So the Mets go in order in their half of the 6th, and the score at the end of 6. The Cubs 5 and the Mets nothing.